Okay. So I was quite young. And this was when I started university. So I was brought up in a Christian home, but I wasn't. Um, but I always knew that, and I honestly didn't even know how to read the Bible or anything like that. My dad tried to do like Bible studies with us when we were growing up, but I wasn't really interested in it too much. And then I went to uni, and then obviously I was doing whatever I want at university. And one time I had a vision, and I say it was a vision because I was awake, and I was trying to like wake up from it, but I couldn't. So I was in a trance. So I heard the trumpet. It was very, very loud, and that's what actually woke me up. And I was trying to like stop it from sounding in my ears, but it was very, very loud. And I was in a space where I was still on Earth, but everywhere was completely dark, and the sun, or was it the moon? I think it was the moon. It was blood red. It was orange, like blood red orange, and it was big, and it was coming closer to Earth, and it was massive. But even though that I saw that, everywhere else was completely dark. I could hear people screaming and making a lot of noises, like they're being tortured or tormented or whatever. And I went on my knees and I said, oh God, what's going on? And I was just crying out to God. But everywhere was dark, and the trumpet was still sounding in my ears, and it was very, very loud. And once it was over, it went on for some time, but once it was over, I was so scared. I was even scared to go back to sleep because I was thinking, like, how could I go back to sleep? What if it happens again? Um, and I was like, do you know what? Let me just try and ignore it. So I tried for the longest of time to just forget about it and not think about it. And then there was another time I was at uni. This time I was actually in my campus, and I slept and I had a dream. That was also like a vision because I was kind of awake in that one, but it wasn't as like the first one. The first one I was like really like trying to come out of it. I was hitting the bed and everything, but the vision just kept playing. So with this one, when I was at uni, after I had the dream, I decided, oh, let me post it on I posted on Snapchat that I've just had a dream about the world ending, and it was so vivid and it was so scary, but it was so beautiful. And then I had a friend that lived in the same she lived on the same floor as me in the building, and she messaged me saying that she had a dream as well about the world ending. So I said, oh wow, like that's so weird. So I said to her, come to my side of the building and we'll discuss it, we'll have a talk. She said, okay, cool. She didn't come, and then the following week she came. She was coming to give something to someone. So when she came, I told her to come to my room so we'll discuss it. And I wanted her to explain her dream first because I felt like, what if she's lying, right? So I wanted to hear her side, what she had dreamt first. So then afterwards, I'll share mine. And then she said to me, oh, yeah, she said she had in her dream, she said she was sleeping and she woke up and she could hear people screaming and running around. And she went outside and she saw that there were people that were standing and they were facing the sky, and it's like they couldn't move. They were just standing still facing the sky, but it's like their body was there, but they were not there in a sense. And then there were people that were running around, and they were just making a lot of noise and making a lot of fuss. And she said she tapped the people that were standing, but they were not moving. They were not communicating or anything. They were just standing in that way. And everywhere was dark, and she didn't know what was going on, and she was confused. And when she told me that, I was like, whoa. Because in my dream, mine was the opposite of what she said. Because in my dream, what happened was I was talking to some girl, a random girl I don't know. And then all of a sudden, I felt myself turning and facing the sky. And when I was facing the sky, I could hear people screaming and making a lot of noise. Like you could like people were being tortured. But at the same time, even though I could hear that, I was being like taken up to the sky, and I could see angels. So many angels, they're not countable. They look like little beams of light, very bright light, and it's like they were scattered all over in the sky. And there was a lot of them, And then as I was going up, there was this bright light. It was so bright, but I don't know why I could look at it and not be blind. It was the brightest light I've ever seen in my life, and I was getting closer and closer to this light. And as I was getting closer, I was happy and I was giggling and I was happy, and as I was giggling and laughing, it's like the sound of the earth, of hearing people crying, it started to fade, and I was getting closer and closer to the light, and I was happy. I felt warm. I felt really, really good. I've never felt like that before in my whole life. I felt really relaxed and very, very happy, and I was just happy, happy, happy. I can't, like, if there was a word better than happy, that's the word I'll be using right now. But I can't think of any word other than joy. Like, the joy I was feeling was completely overwhelming. It was a lot. And then, I woke up. So when I woke up, I didn't realize that to me now, that was definitely Jesus. By the time, I didn't realize it, and I still wasn't really into the word as much until years passed, and I decided for myself, because a lot of people, they're Christians, but it's because of them being brought up as Christians, but I was not getting into the word myself. So I decided, this was like after like COVID or during COVID, I started to read the scriptures myself, and specifically I read Revelation, and I read the book of Joel and Thessalonian, and that's when I realized everything made sense, because it was literally prophesied that people will have visions and dreams. And also what I had, the vision and the dream that I had it was a prophecy that's in the Bible. And that made me realize that, like, I've been wasting time all this time. I should have been closer to God like ages ago. But yeah,